over the course of about 6 months, it started getting worse. It was like, first, let me stop wrestling, let me stop jujitsu, let me stop all these combat sports. And then it was like, hold on, I don't think I can really run anymore. Um, and
Wow.
then it was like, hold on, I don't think I can do anything. I don't think I can lift. I don't think I can do calisthenics. And there was a 1 week period where it really, the onset was really heavy. And it was, I could do pretty casually, I would do 35 pull-up sets. I would do 35 pull-ups in a row. Within a week period, I went from being able to do 35 pull-ups to none. So
Wow.
that's how quick my body declined when it started to really pick up. It took me a little bit to realize the actual repercussions of it. And that night, I had one of the worst flare ups in my life. Like, I remember the date. It was May 31st, 2020. It was the worst flare up I've ever had. So that
What
was about
happened?
3 years ago, three and a half
Where was the
years. I
pain?
ended up,
Where was the pain? It was every.
um, yeah, really everywhere. So my injury was thoracic and up, so thoracic and cervical. So I ended up the getting a really heavy 16, about 12 to 16 hours of straight spasms. I got diaphragmatic spasms, which means I lost control of my diaphragm and my abdominals, complete contraction between my diaphragm, and so I lost the ability to breathe. And so my arms are numb. Like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is not fun. I was like, let me just pass out. Like, I'm hoping that I'm just gonna pass out. Even up to the point where, I got those spasms and stuff, I could still function. It was just when it flares up, the flare up's bad, but it wasn't a 24/7 thing. So I was still able to walk. I was still able to sit out in the living room and hang out with the family. When it got worse, it became a 24/7 thing. It was, I am now bedridden. There's like anything and everything I thought that I could do with my life was gone. Um, and it got progressively worse over the next year. And so by the time 2021 had hit, um, late 2020, I tried going back to online college. I was certified disabled. Doctor signed off everything. Um, and I tried to do online college. It was like all the disability benefits. Even with that, I still couldn't complete a semester of school. It was so bad. I physically couldn't. I couldn't. I had no way to use a computer. It was that bad. I couldn't sit up on my own. I couldn't stand up to use a standing desk. I couldn't like do anything. So I had to drop out. I found Dr. Sarno on my own about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And I read through it and I got pissed off. And I was like, this isn't it. So I disregarded it. I tossed it to the side. And so I ended up uh, training bench press for the first time. And at first, it was, we have a little kids bar, and it was a little 10-pound kids bar. And I lied on my back on the bench, which was terrifying. And it was horrible. And I was like, and it hurt so bad. And I got ready and I pressed the weight up 3 times. I bench pressed 10 pounds 3 times, racked it, went back inside. That's good enough for today. That was it. I had bench pressed for the first time in so long. And eventually it was like, you know what? Why not try more? Let's push it. And I think weightlifting for me, it was a very odd thing because I was like, well, am I getting better because the weightlifting? Maybe this Dr. Sarno stuff isn't working. And so this whole time, there's always been things in my mind that have been trying to push out the justification that this is working. And that's something that still happens to this day, not to the extent, obviously. Um, but now I've programmed my subconscious to really know that it's like, no, it works. Because you saw me a year ago, you'd know. um, and so even till this point, I was like, well, is it just the fact that I'm gaining weight and lifting, or is it the fact that I'm pushing myself and I'm disregarding the pain and functioning as if the pain is no longer a limiting factor that I'm getting better? So just continuing down the path, pushing myself. And so for lifting, I disregarded physical therapy, just completely stopped it. I stopped any muscle relaxers I was on. I was like, this is it. I'm not. And that was a terrifying thing, really terrifying. Um, I didn't realize how much fear played into things, but when fear was mentioned over and over, it was like, wow, Like, I like to think I'm a man, or I like to think I'm tough and I'm not scared, but I am terrified. I am deathly terrified. Continued doing that, and over the next 3 months, I saw a drastic improvement. It started very slow. And then I ended up very, very slow again in bed. First in November, I was in bed 99.9% of the day, and then January hits and I'm in bed 95% of the day. So this is a multi-month thing. And
Mhm.
it's hard to stay motivated when, that's why it's good to have a community behind you and seeing, things like that. Because when I see other people, I'm like, well, they're not like me. They're not going through what I'm going through. Their situation's different. Even for you, I looked at your situation. I was like, well, his back's not as bad as mine. He doesn't understand what I'm going through,
Yeah, yeah.
even though the reality is you
Pretty
very well
close.
understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
close.
And so, that was a big thing where it was like, it was a long time. It was a long process. Um, and so, in January, I was 95%, and then in bed all day. And then eventually it was about, I believe, 5 months in, it was let me try to stay out of bed the entire day, just not go in bed. And I failed the first few days, but I was out of bed for 50% of the day. I was out of bed for 6 hours, and it was like, wow, this is horrible. I'm in pain, but this is good. There's progress. Um, and as that time went on, my lift started improving. I started getting stronger in the gym. I started getting more confident in my ability to just be like, let's lift a little heavier. Not really unhealthily to the point where I would, injure myself in the sense of I would drop a weight on my neck or something, not going out of what I think I could do, but pushing myself just to the point where can my body handle this? So the concept of incremental improvement and just compound interest, as people in the investing space like to think, is just very minuscule progress, like day to day, like very slow increments of improvement. So my pain may only get a 0.5% better this week, maybe 1% better this week. That's still over the course of a year, 50% better. What an experience. As of now, I'm lifting extremely heavy. Um, I'm swimming. I'm slowly getting back into running. I'm actually focusing on lifting and conditioning my legs first because, like I said, my starting point baseline was I can barely walk. So my legs aren't as strong as they could be. So for me, running at the paces that I want to run is very difficult with my current leg strength. So I'm lifting, but I'm squatting, having heavy, heavy loads. I'm talking hundreds of pounds on my back. Um, Squatting, deadlifting. I'm pulling up 150 pounds off of the ground. Um, Bench pressing. I benched 225 for the first time in years the other day. That's 225 pounds. That's a lot of weight to have on my spine, you know?
Yes.
And so I've gotten to the point where I'm finally at an area where it's like, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm at the light at the end of the tunnel. I experience pain periodically. My pain's down 95%. There's still pain. There's still a little. There's still times where I get anxiety over things, um, and I'm hesitant. But the thing that has changed so much dramatically is with consistency, obsession over it, and surrounding yourself with a community of like-minded people who are willing to go that extra step. I was able to build habits and build a thought pattern of when I feel pain, I'm like, let's go, let's go, try me, let's see it. Like if it, can you make me bedridden? Like I'd love to see my body try to make me bedridden again. So things like that. I tweaked my neck. I'm lifting anyways. Like I could care less. I'm gonna go lift. My whole perspective on pain has changed, and honestly, I am 100 times tougher than I used to be. Like 100 times stronger, 100 times, maybe not physically stronger. Give me another year, and I'll get there. Yeah, thank you to John and Laura from the Pain Cure Clinic for really just being the backbone that I needed, just being the people that pushed me to the next step. Because it's really hard. I think a community and having people behind you, people who are serious and people who are in a similar scenario. There are like 10 people who I talk in direct messages from the group and the environment. And I think it's been a really beneficial experience. I think it's really hard to explain to people how beneficial um, having an environment in a place where you can ask questions, a group where you can ask questions, people who've been there and done that, people like myself who went from my family's looking at me saying this is it to I'm back. I look different. I feel different. I'm growing again. My body's developing. I'm able to function as a normal human being. There's something to be said about that. I think um, we're all the same. We're all human beings. We all have the same, neurochemistry. Our neuroplasticity is the same. I think that overall, it's your life. And I think that there's nothing that's more priceless in terms of trying to help yourself than your life. If you're willing to spend $1 million in surgery, we've all done surgeries, we've all done all these things here. You can put out a little bit of money to build a program. But yeah, thank you guys. I'm one to ramble, but it's for good reason because you become very passionate about something when it changes your life.